Once again, we it's easy to say like, oh, he's blackmailing all these people. These are heads of state that are mentioning it themselves. Once again, we talked about even MI6 and Prince Andrew was a victim of sexual blackmail. It's like, maybe you shouldn't have been. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. All right. Well, I thank you for that, Dan. Let's hit the FBI and let's just go from there, okay?
All right. Yeah, let's get going on this outline.
Yep. So this here, guys, is the actual link of Pam Bondi saying the files are on my desk. Because obviously this is to contradict her statements about her own personal statements where the FBI has come out and said there is no list. And once again, the FBI has to report to the the Attorney General, which is Pam Bondi and her deputy Todd Blanche. So
the DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK.
Your favorite news channel, Fox News.
In the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll check back with you.
That's a guy on Fox that's giving him that pushback. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
So here's an interesting thing, right? So I think we talked about this maybe off air, but this is going to be this really quickly is going to be the link of when Pam Bondi was found in a restaurant. This was, I think, in the summer of just the last year. I think probably June or July, sometime around there. And some random person came up to her and asked about like Epstein. And someone filmed this person coming up to her. And she basically said, oh yeah, there's like 10,000, there's over 10,000 like documents, or what was the, what did I write down here?
It was 10,000 like videos.
Hours. Right. 10,000 hours of him, abusing children. So here's Pam Bondi actually saying this. She later changes her statement, but...
No, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now.
And this is what I hate, too, about this stuff, too, specifically with, like, Bondi, and like I said, we got to go through a lot of stuff, but they make this thing where, like, when we say, like, oh, release the files, and we'll probably have to at some point, whether you want to get into the actual phrase release the files or not, depends on what you want to do, but they make it act like, well, no, we're not gonna show you the things of child porn. Obviously, nobody wants to see that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that, but we want the evidence. So, or like if you bring up,
they've released videos where like victims are blacked out, not necessarily pornographic, but just videos of victims.
Oh yeah,
where they have like black bars covering them the entire time. And the point is not that we want to know who the victims are. The point is that we just want to know who the perpetrators are.
Yeah, or who the perpetrators are. And so this is yeah. So this is another video of her just confirming herself.
February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said
That's what we just watched.
I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein.
Downloaded? That's not what she said in the other one, though.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Yeah, she said videos with...
Of Jeffrey Epstein with child porn, not Jeffrey Epstein owning child porn, which I'm sure he did.
And at this point in the timeline, we do know that there's plenty of, well, I don't know about explicit videos, but there's plenty of pictures and stuff that she's really downplaying it in that video.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, it's just one file. Well, we have 3 million files released now. So
yeah, it's just it's amazing. So now. This is when we've talked to, we've really referred to the FBI like several times throughout our time. So we're going to show you guys the actual evidence of why personally I believe that the FBI head director and the guy underneath him, once again, this is Director Kash Patel and then Deputy Director Dan Bongino, who's actually stepped down, which is his story is interesting because I'm wondering if there's been rumors behind the scenes that this guy Dan Bongino was the most craziest about it. He was even saying, he's like, don't let this go once, even if all else fails, like keep holding on, keep saying. And that's why it's funny, like you'll see any headline about like Iran or Venezuela and someone's like release the files.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's great. There's so many like crazy people in America, but they're like right on the Epstein stuff. So it's kind of like you almost want to give them a pass, you know?
All right, this is Kash Patel back in his podcasting days.
Yeah.
FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And
Yeah, a lot of talk. Then he got in there and realized, oh crap, I have all these superiors that I got to appeal to, and yeah, disappointing.
Disappointing as hell, man. Let's see if he says anything else.
take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops.
So it's very interesting. So that's the biggest. So Kash Patel. That's what's interesting because this was on Sean Ryan before he became director. So people are like, "Oh my God, this guy he's really gonna go after it." And this is the guy that said "See you in Valhalla," like Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Which apparently he was friends with Charlie Kirk. I understand what he was saying. I'm not into like trashing him for the sake of trashing him. But now this next link, guys, that I'm going to show you is the complete switch up that him and Dan Bongino both have done.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on
Rumble.
There are a lot of people who are knee-deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing, and you should be asking yourself the question.
This is the future FBI director mentioning sexual blackmail. Once again, we it's easy to say like, oh, he's blackmailing all these people. These are like heads of state that are mentioning it themselves. Once again, we talked about even MI6 and Prince Andrew were worried about that. Prince Andrew was a victim, or not, or whatever word they use about, victim of sexual blackmail. It's like maybe you shouldn't have been. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
How is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it.
You said Jeffrey Epstein.
So this is the interview where they both 180.
Committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to get? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Bongino says, no, it's okay. I've seen the files.
This is Cenk Uygur.
Totally, yeah.
Okay, as long as you saw that. You can't just...
Yeah, now that we have all the files, I'm not sure what specific piece of evidence he saw that convinced him so much that we didn't know before that Epstein did kill himself.
Right. And this is a theme that I'm going to be exploring like in later episodes this year for the podcast. But I'm like, it's the doubling and tripling down because of the administration that brings you on. Like, once again, we see this with Vance and especially, Tom Homan, this guy, Stephen Miller, who's kind of like the head of ICE. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah,
and
Vance was like calling Trump Hitler before.
Yeah.
He got hired as the vice president.
And now a good amount of people know about Vance and Teal, and being funded by that. And then,
yeah.
So this is why I think, once again, I obviously said in the beginning of this podcast, guys, that we're gonna present this stuff to you and you make your own assumptions about it. But I'm like, if you're being logical and you're not biased and you don't hate Trump and you don't hate the left and you're just an average person, you see this happen, you're like, oh, this is really weird. But this isn't like this isn't a certain type of it's
The Epstein thing, I got a lot to.
it's just a very it's like, are you not supposed to believe your eyes? That's what I just don't understand. Because even the non-conspiratorial people are like, yeah, I'm not sure what to do with this information.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's not even about whether or not you believe the lies. It's just about, well, you're powerless. What are you going to do about it?
Exactly, Dan.
So I don't think they even care anymore.
It kind of feels like a tick burrowing under my skin. I get a call. Guy you trust with your, wife, kid, and car, right? He says, I got sent on a temporary assignment once. And on that assignment, I got sent out with on the WCD detail, William Clinton detail. And I knew this guy well. And he says, Dan, I got to share this with someone. He said, I go on a plane and Bill, Clinton gets on the plane with this guy. And it turns out later the guy's Epstein. Now, this guy I'm talking to, this source, he don't know who Jeffrey Epstein is. He's just getting on the plane doing the thing, the whole, protection gig, right? He says, I get on the plane, and there are these girls who are obviously not of age who are on this plane. They're clearly young. These are not women. These are girls.
This is the deputy director of the FBI.
To the back. He goes, I don't know what happened. I'm not saying what happened because all I know is he disappeared, and these girls were back there or whatever. And he said they land at the next stop, wherever it was. And he goes up to the boss on the detail and he says, I ain't getting back on this plane. Because he's a temp. He's not used to like whatever Clinton was up to with the whole shenanigans thing. And this guy's clear as the driven snowman. He don't want to mess around with this. He says, whatever just happened back there, like, I don't want any piece of it. They sent him home. They sent that guy home. And he's never temped to that detail again. Now, remember, all those Blackberries on that detail. Here's where the story gets super weird. The guy tells me...
Almost done.
What is it, months or a couple weeks later, when you lose property in the Secret Service, an email goes out. It'll say like, hey, I lost his phone. And it gets logged into NCIC or whatever it is. And everybody knows. So basically, if you find this guy's gun, God forbid, or his phone, it's now effectively stolen property, right? All of a sudden, all the Blackberries on that detail... for the agents start showing up like, oh, this guy lost his BlackBerry. Holy shit. Wow, that's so crazy. How'd that happen?
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do with all this information, man? Like, it gets to the point where, like, these are the top guys or whatever. So, like, who do you... When the top people are corrupt, like, how can you get around it? Like, we should have enough of a governmental or democratic backbone in the country that you can't just do whatever you want.
Right. And checks and balances.
Right.
Like the DOJ, the Supreme Court, they're the ones who are supposed to be, forcing these things through. But it feels like every single branch is either ineffective or corrupted in some way.
Right, and you don't want to. No one wants to believe that. No one wants to say that and promise it. But I'm like, it's right in front of your faces. Speaking of it, right in front of our faces. Now, I wanted to bring up. This is Mike Johnson, who is the. Help me out, Dan. Mike Johnson is the.
Is incredibly dangerous.
He's the Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
Number 5, national security concerns. Okay, the discharge.
He's mentioning right here why they can't release the files because of national security risks. I think the risks is children being raped and abused.
Yeah. And I mean...
Dear God.
Yeah. I guess there could potentially be some stuff that you might have to hold back just because it could put someone in danger, but the amount of files... I don't know if I've said this before, but with this new release, we have about like 3.5 million files, which is like half of the total that people have promised, which means that there's so much that they didn't release.
Even before this, talk about the deadline.
Yeah, so the deadline was what, like January 1st.
It was December 19th was the first one, I think.
December 19th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
December 19th was the first large dump of files. That's where it was like over 300K. And then the 23rd, another 30K were released. These were some of the ones where we see these really effed up pictures and everything. And then once again, that's when like early January and stuff comes on.
Yeah. And that's why it's like, even if, like, Trump is saying after this release of files that he's now cleared from suspicion because there's nothing in there that can exactly incriminate him. The worst mentions of him in the new release of the files was like stuff from the anonymous tip line. That's a lot of, there's been a lot of stories about the anonymous tip line. You can't 100% trust that information as being completely valid.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, they spent a lot of time going through the files, taking out what they want to take out.
Yeah.
Which is why, I mean, at this point, they say they're done releasing the files. So you can keep saying release the Epstein files, and their response will just be, well, we have. It's all out there except for the stuff that we can't release due to intelligence concerns.
Yeah, Epstein wasn't intelligence. This is The Guardian, right? You were mentioning this. So the title of this article is U.S. Justice Department has released less than 1% of Epstein filing reveals. So this is basically all referring to everything up until like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And so the Department of Justice has released less than 1% of the so-called Epstein files, a court filing has revealed, as Democrats step up criticism of the Trump administration's lawlessness for keeping records under seal. Really quickly, I wanted to add this too, Dan, just like to do the both sides thing again. Like, I feel there's a certain part where you see a lot of Democrats now caring about Epstein, but I'm like, people weren't caring about Epstein under Biden. Like, it really was not like, it was a lot of like.
Biden had the opportunity to do all the stuff we're doing now, and maybe he could have exposed more Republicans and less Democrats, but like.
But it's everyone, bro. That's the thing. Everyone's the problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And here's Dave Smith on the FBI. I really love Dave Smith. He's one of my favorite.
Of the Epstein scandal.
This is fire, Dan.
That goes down in history as like the worst handling of a scandal I've ever seen. Literally, from all these guys running on, we're going to release this stuff. Pam Bondi having that thing where she gave the influencers
folders?
The binders.
Remember them holding the binders
and then
up
it
in
turns
the
out there was
Disney.
nothing in them that was new. And then they pivoted.
How stupid are you to...
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Right. You're crazy to think there was a thing to be released. Like, it was, and then to turn around, and then they turn around, and Mike Johnson said it will end the political order if we vote for Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna and Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill to release the file.
Good.
So yeah, good. So really quickly, I have a link for that. We'll skip it because he just mentioned that. But this is where it's like the Speaker of the House is doing this, where he's flipping. Let's continue.
And then they turn around and get pressured into voting for it, and now they're just redacting everything, and like it's just, I mean, just he lost so much credibility on that. Obviously, the I think bombing Iran was terrible.
Well, let's go one thing at a time.
Sure.
The Epstein. So look, bring up some of the
shout out to Theo.
Too. What was with the photo drop right before Christmas? It's all so bizarre.
Right,
like, what is that a picture about? If you're a married guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing there?
Yeah, I mean, like,
you're a married 60-year-old guy.
Yeah,
well, it's Bill Clinton. I think he's cheated on Hillary many times.
It's a weird thing. Yeah, I mean, now again, it doesn't give us that much more information, and we don't see her face, but sure does look a lot younger than him.
Yeah, go through some of these. I mean, this is kind of. I mean, it's all.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to this artwork later, bro. But it's terrible, man. Okay. So yeah, you get that. You understand that part about Dave Smith too. I always love, he's very, like I said, he's one of the anti-imperialism, libertarians. And he's really helped kind of build my political framework, as some of you who are old fans of the show, when we did Bunker Boys, we covered like the beginning, or actually the end of the 12-day war in Iran. But here's one thing to give some of the FBI credit. So I have it written down here that they've saved over 200 kids, these are the guys under under Cash and Bongino's, their directorship or leadership, whatever. They've saved 200 kids experiencing, VCAC, which is violent violent crimes against children. Yeah, they've jailed like 800 sexual predators. They had Operation Justice, Operation Not Forgotten, Operation Summer Heat. They are doing like they're not just they're not like totally incompetent is what I'm trying to say. But it gets to the point where like you talk to the average person who you present this information, and obviously we're giving our own commentary on the links that we just showed, but it's like what, like how else are you supposed to like obviously the Epstein network isn't simple because it's super complicated, but also like at the same point it's like, dude, did you see the trailer that I added in the beginning of Epstein 1? You see Epstein coming out in the white jacket or whatever, and he has like the girl coming out. Like that's just a video right at the New York mansion. That girl was the daughter of like the Australian Prime Minister. And then you see later like the same photographer, you see another young girl like leave about like, you know, maybe 20 or somewhere, maybe even younger, and then you can fucking see Prince Andrew. And I get that, like, according to the law, just because he's at a house and there's a young woman there, and Epstein was there with another young woman, it's this what I'm trying to say is that it's not weird or strange to have many Americans lose faith in the justice system, and when you start losing faith in that, you start losing faith in like, are they going to take care of my money? Healthcare, our veterans, like all this stuff, you know?
Yeah. I don't want to get too off topic, but it is kind of concerning with Trump suing the head of the Federal Reserve right now.
Right.
Because
is that Jerome Powell?
Jerome Powell, yeah. Well, there's a supposed reason, but it's because he won't let Trump set the interest rates, basically, is the real reason. Yeah. And it's like, we're so totally screwed. I'm checking like the stock markets every day, just waiting for the other shoe to drop on the economy.
Yeah. And so this is, once again, I'm trying not to repeat myself, but like maybe this is the idea though. Like, so the government's like promises to release like Epstein or Trump's administration, right? In good faith, I'm sure a good amount of them, because the thing is with the Epstein network, and also that you learn through the stuff like regarding like agencies like the CIA and whatever, when there's this like clandestine stuff going on, even take like something, I know this is very extreme, like MK Ultra, that's like super compartmentalized, so only a couple people know the real stuff going on. As for Epstein, it's like it's kind of a toss up now, because I'm like, everybody knows parts of this, and even parts of this stuff is just absolutely disgusting. So like, say they want to release it in good faith, right? So they want to do that. Then they find out like Trump's like he's part of the files or whatever. So they want to release the files, but at the same time you can't fully release them because of a lot of the stuff going on. One, because there's powerful people involved, but maybe there's also like, we are not lawyers. We don't understand how all that stuff can get brought out, you know? So there's this thing. So when you actually in good faith say, oh, let's actually do this, but once again, like I mentioned earlier, Trump himself is like, oh yeah, I'll make it look like I want to release it, but then the justice system will do its job. Well, not its job, but it'll be complicated through the law, right?
Yeah. Just look like you can support it because you don't think... He didn't think that the support would be so strong that they would have to release it in the end. He thought it would just get stuck. And he'd be like, oh, well, I tried, but I put up forward my best effort.
Oh, yeah, I could. And then I'm like, well, and this is where we see like all the redacted stuff and all the, or if it's not redacted, it just doesn't get released. Or, you know, the DOJ misses their own deadline by, 40 days or something like that?
Yeah.